All right, let's get started, everyone. Happy Monday. Hopefully, everyone had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Let's take advantage of the chat box. We are covering annuities, income riders. It can get a little technical. So, for our new business partners, if they have questions, feel free to chime in. We're all licensed financial professionals here. But I just want to say, let's take a quick 10 seconds. Let's give ourselves a big pat on the back. The organization, I think I heard we're almost at 1,000 registrations of newly licensed or new business partners, and we're barely about 30 days in, right? So absolutely remarkable. We're going to get it to 50,000 to 100,000. Exciting times. We're just getting started. So big pat on the back. Tons of momentum right now. You see on Telegram. If you're not on Telegram, you're crazy. Okay, make sure you get on Telegram, unmute it, make sure you're active. There's nothing better than seeing your business partners win, especially over the weekend. It creates a lot of fun momentum. We're here Monday, things are exciting. It's a new month, summertime. And that brings me to what's going on in what? I think it's less than 15 days, 14 days. We have our launch event here in Florida coming up next week. I know Angie and I are extremely excited for it. A lot of our business partners are excited, and we're also excited to meet a lot of you for the first time, right? So don't feel like it's too late. Okay, we still got about 2 weeks to go. Take advantage of the flights. A lot of times you could sneak in right before the landing, get a good price. But man, you have to make sure you're there. Still rally your business partners. It's going to be a life-changing, incredible event. One of these events that we're going to remember for years to come, right? The launch event in Delray, Florida, 2025. So make sure you're there. Okay, so we are growing so fast. So as people start connecting, let me give my quick 30-second story. I know some of you know my background, some of you don't, but I'll do a highlighted version. So really born in Pasadena, California, Los Angeles County here in Southern California. If you're familiar with the Rose Parade, Rose Bowl, that's Pasadena. So my original background has nothing to do with financial services. Okay, I studied civil engineering at UC Irvine. Irvine is a city in Orange County, California, which is right in the middle of Los Angeles and San Diego County here in Southern California. And I graduated in 2006. So as some of you may remember, the housing boom was going absolutely crazy. So a firm based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, they wanted to catch this big West Coast boom. So they actually opened up a brand new office in San Diego, and I got recruited right out of school. Okay. So remember, people are looking for top talent in every industry. So don't feel like we're the only ones or it's something that you're not into. Every company does it, especially right now that we're entering the graduation season. Okay. So young engineer, got my first big job offer with this firm. It ended up being a national engineering firm, big corporate America. Okay. I started climbing that corporate ladder they're all familiar with, working my 40, 50, 60 hours a week plus travel time. They're sending me around the country to build. My specialty was land development to build projects. And over time, I really got burnt out, right? So this might sound familiar to some of you, or maybe there's a point in your career where you've been working, 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 and all of a sudden you notice that it's starting to slow down a little bit, right? You start becoming more senior, your raises slow down, your upside potential seems to be capped. That was me in big corporate America, right? They kept thanking me, but they said, hey, we're not going to thank you on your salary or bonuses. We're actually going to give you additional income and shares on your retirement. And I said, wait a minute here. I'm 27 years old. I'm in Southern California. I can't wait till I'm 65, 70 to get all this, get all these benefits, right? I need the money now. So I was frustrated. I was limited in my upside potential. End of the day, all I wanted was bigger and better. You're right. I saw people that are at my age, a little older. They see more financial security. They had nicer things as, why is that? Why not me? So I wanted bigger and better on life. It was my mentor that told me to look into financial advising. And I remember telling Dave that, look, you're crazy. I don't know anything about money. I had my student loans. I had this 401k plan at work. Honestly, I did it because my mom told me to do it. I had some debt. I bought a new car. I said, how the heck am I going to teach people about their finances? I'm still trying to figure out my own. And he goes, look, how many millions of people are out there that are in your situation? I was like, when you put it that way, there's definitely a lot of us. Okay. And that's the reality. And that's what we're doing here at the broker group. People ask us, what exactly do you do? We're simply educating people on their finances, right? We go over their short, mid, long-term financial goals, see what debt they have, see what they have set up for retirement. We add the most value by showing them and teaching them what else is out there. That's what we're going to cover today is a key investment strategy that's quite popular in today's environment. But that's all we're doing, having adult conversations, helping people. Now that we're a hybrid company, now we can expand our education nationwide when before it was just regionally. So definitely special times. Okay, so that's my quick 1 to 2 minute story. Big corporate America didn't like the punch in, punch out, capped on earnings. Financial services was that wonderful solution. And by the way, it's actually getting better. Okay, best time to ever get into financial services is right now. We won't get into those details, but we are going to cover a fantastic strategy that works just well for our clients. Okay, so let's spend the next 50 to 55 minutes together. Let's go over this index annuity, but we are going to get into more details when it comes to the riders of an index annuity. Okay, so if you're not sure what index annuity is, we're going to cover the fundamentals because before you learn about income riders, you have to understand what an index annuity is. Okay, so let's go over the key fundamentals. Once again, this is Monday. Ask questions, take advantage of the chat. The more interactive it is, the more fun it is. Don't be shy with your business partners, okay? Because if you're shy here, you're definitely going to be way too timid, way too shy with the actual client. Okay, this is supposed to be what we call your safe space. Lean on each other to learn and develop. Okay, so let's get right into it because it is a jam-packed schedule. We're going to cover a lot today. Okay, definitely no taking time. I'll get technical, but not too technical. But when you're talking index annuities, you have to be ready for your technical client. Okay, so let's start here. This is one of our most powerful, famous slides. Okay, now you're going to see some different graphics and you're wondering, oh, Mario has these graphics. I have these graphics. Look, the graphics don't make a difference in your business. Okay, the fundamentals and how you're talking to clients, how you're asking questions, how you're getting to understand them, going over the why factor, what we're going to cover today, why do it, how it works. That's what's going to help you with the client. Okay, so use the graphics you have, but we stick with the key fundamentals. And this is a slide that you're going to see a lot. Okay, very popular slide. Reason being is you have to understand how society is really structured. Okay, just because people are doing their employer sponsored retirement plan, it's the most popular. Because something is the most popular, it does not mean it's the best vehicle. It's simply how corporate America is structured. Okay, so most people we sit down with, they understand fixed because we have a checking account. We have to pay bills, right? Especially these days, you can't pay in cash anymore. If you don't have a checking account, you can't pay your bills. So everyone opens up a bank account. Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, credit union, regional bank, wherever somebody could bank. And people understand that in that checking account, you're going to get offered a CD account, money market account. You're going to get offered a fixed account. And banks today can get you 2% on your money, 3%, 4%. It's not going to be higher. It's not going to be lower. It's a fixed rate of return. That's where fixed comes in. Okay. Then if you get a corporate job, everybody knows that you have to save and invest for retirement. We all know it's in the back of our head. We know we have to do it. So our employer says, look, if you work for us as a W-2 employee, I like to call it the golden handcuff, right? Because they throw these benefits to get you to stay there, but we call it the golden handcuff because it's hard to leave when you get too comfortable. So they'll say, hey, we'll offer you this retirement plan. We'll give you a match. Maybe it could be 1%, 3%, 6%. Every company is different. Maybe we'll give you some profit sharing, but that's typically someone's first opportunity to actually do a variable investment. It's all they know. Okay. And they're thinking it's the best because, wait a minute, my employer does it. I'm talking to other people, they have it. It must be the best solution. Well, it's maybe not the best. Okay. But people are doing it because that's all they know. And people only know what they know. Okay. So where we come in is showing them, going over fixed, going over variable, the advantages and limitations. But we're definitely covering this index strategy. And this is what we specialize in. Okay. This is our niche when it comes to financial planning. Get extremely comfortable with the story of indexing. Okay. Because if you're only talking about variable, what's going to separate you from you and the advisor down the street? Nothing. Okay. You're all offering the same thing. But when you say we specialize, and make sure you use that word specialized, specialization, more than ever, the consumer wants to work with people that are specialists. And this is what we specialize in. Okay. It does not mean that we don't do fixed and variable. Okay. We also educate and offer clients that. But our specialization, if you want to work with us, if you want the best of the best, and you want to work with these great A-rated financial companies that we do business with, that we have these amazing partnerships with, we do indexing. Okay, so get familiar with this story of indexing. We've done millions and millions of dollars in revenue simply on indexing. Okay, we're going to talk about indexing. Okay, now another story you want to get familiar with is on a generalization level, high level. Okay, you don't have to become an expert on interest rates and macro and microeconomics, but you should understand, because I'm going to go over it a little bit. Clients do wonder, are these numbers that you're showing me, are these actually real? Like, they're just so good in today's environment, the highest I've ever seen it. Like, when we show clients these crediting strategies, these bonuses, these guarantees, they don't believe it's true. But you have to understand why the industry is actually offering these numbers. Okay, they're not just coming from nowhere. Okay, and it comes down to the interest rates here in the United States. Right now, current interest rates are at a 20 to 25-year high. Okay, some of you may be aware of it. If you're new, maybe you haven't tracked interest rates, but this is what it's done, right? These two graphs here alone. So we have to go all the way back. It doesn't even show it on here, but you can see it's at 0% when we talk about interest rates. So the US economy, for those that remember, in 2008, 2009, crashed. Okay, they called it the Great Financial Crisis #2, if not almost a Great Depression if the government didn't come in and rescue it, right? So to boost the economy, the government put interest rates at zero. So whenever interest rates are at zero, it's easier to borrow money. Mortgages are low. It boosts the economy, money supply. But interest rates can't stay at zero forever, because if interest rates are at zero, then things get more expensive, right? Inflation comes. So they start increasing interest rates. Okay. And then they raise them to 2.5%. And everyone knows what happened in 2020. Okay. The world went into this pandemic. Okay. Politics aside, governments had to lower interest rates because they had to shut down the economies around the world. So we went all the way down to zero interest rates. And some of you may remember that all of a sudden inflation went absolutely crazy. Okay, we hit a quarter where inflation was over 9% in one quarter. The government freaked out, said, we absolutely have to control this. The price and the cost of living is going through the roof. We need to raise interest rates as fast as we can. And that's exactly what they did. Okay, interest rates went from zero all the way to 5.5%. The bond market essentially crashed. Remember that point, because senior people are typically in bonds. We'll talk about that. And now interest rates, they've been holding them high. Okay, so if you're wondering, why are mortgages at 7-8%? Why is my credit card company now charging me 29-30% interest? How come when I went to refinance my home, or even get a HELOC, or buy a new car, or get a used car, why are interest rates so high? This is why. Okay, they have to control inflation. The government printed out way too much money in 2020. Cost of living in the last 5 years has gone up over 25%. Okay, a quarter higher than what it was in 2020. And we're all feeling it. And that's a number that the government's giving us. Okay, I'm that type of personality where I like to buy the same thing. I'm in the store, out the store. I shop at a place called Trader Joe's. Some of you may be aware of it. I believe it's national now. You used to walk in $140, $150. Same thing. Now it breaks 200, sometimes 230. That's inflation. Okay, so interest rates are high. Now, why do I mention that? I'm going to talk about later on how interest rates actually favor index annuities and income riders. Okay, because these companies are extremely competitive with one another. So we're going to take advantage of high interest rates. High interest rates are great for the products we specialize in. Not so good for mortgages and if you want to take on some debt. Okay, all right. So now, before we get into income riders, one of my favorite slides, as you know, I stole this from Phil Mazzella, Teamwork Makes the Dream Work. This slide alone has closed millions of dollars in transfers and rollovers, because people don't know where index annuities fall. If you bring up an index annuity, you say, great, I love it. But people like to know where things are in relation to other things out there. And that's why I love this slide so much. Because ever since I started showing this slide, clients are like, oh, that makes complete sense. I have stocks, I have bonds, I have mutual funds. I don't know what a variable annuity is, but I don't like it because it's non-guaranteed. I see where cash is. I see where CDs are, because my banks offer me a CD. They keep offering money market accounts, and this is where fixed index annuities fall. right in that sweet spot, right in the middle, zero risk, but you're going to get a greater return than the banking system, and you're going to remove all the risk of a variable stock market like investments, right? Imagine being in your 50s, 60s, and 70s and knowing that the accumulation that you accrued over 10, 20, 30 years of your life is guaranteed to not go down in value. That's going to make your client feel especially good. And look what's happened. And we're just in June. It's been a crazy quarter, right? The first quarter stock market got hit hard. New administration, we had tariffs, inflation, a lot of uncertainty, 3 active wars, now down to 2 active wars. Stock market has seemed to kind of cool off a little bit, rallied, it's back up. But now we have more tensions with the wars getting escalated in Russia and Ukraine. Now we have immigration in Los Angeles. People are freaking out. But if you have index annuity, you're smiling because you don't have to worry about what could happen to your money in the next 3, 6 year to 2 years as the market matures. Okay, so that's where it falls in. Now, I'm going to go through the fundamental of an index annuity because once we understand index annuity, we're going to really start talking about these income riders on why they work so well for a certain client. But before you talk income riders, you have to understand once again the key fundamentals of how an index annuity works. Okay, so typical client, we like to call it a protected retirement, guaranteed purchase plan. A lot of marketings out there. Use one that gets your client comfortable and understands and warms your client up. Okay, index annuity might not sound too sexy. People don't know what it is. Hey, how about a guaranteed retirement, a protected retirement? Remove all risk. People like to hear those like words, right? So marketing works. Okay. Now we're going to grab a lump sum of money. Now this lump sum of money could come from anywhere. Okay. A big misconception is that index annuities are only on retirement accounts. That is not true. Okay. If someone has a CD account, they have cash sitting in the bank, we could take that lump sum and actually do index annuity. Okay. Most Americans, though, their biggest lump sum of money is going to be within their retirement account. That's why it seems like index annuities are always with retirement accounts, is simply being that most Americans have a biggest lump sum of money in the retirement account. So it could come from an IRA, 401k, 457, TSP, 403b. Point B is client has a lump sum of money. We sit down with them, we educate them on what they have, see what they're looking to do, see what their plans are, short, mid, long-term financial goals, wealth management, we're covering all of it. Okay, but this client in this example, let's say they have $1 million portfolio. And get out of your mind that people don't have money. Okay, more than ever, there's more millionaires in the United States than there's ever been in the history of the United States. Number one reason for that has been the U.S. stock market. Okay, we're technically not at record highs, but we're near record highs. Okay, portfolios that we used to see 10 years ago are now double, if not triple in size. So it's not uncommon to see someone with 300,000, 500,000, million, 2 million, 80,000, 100,000, right? The numbers simply get bigger as the stock market grows. So this client has $1 million, and we recommend let's look at a portion of it and talk about a portion, right? If you're meeting someone for the first time, talk about a portion. Some people get defensive, they get a little shy if you say, let's grab all of it. People don't like all of it. Okay, let's grab a portion. Now that portion is subjective. It could be 10%, could be 20%, 30%. It all depends on the personality. But when you're breaking down the concept, simply use a portion. Let's grab a portion of it. Let's reallocate the strategy. Okay, so it doesn't feel like someone's spending money because they're not. We're simply reallocating their strategy. You have one bucket. We're going to split that into 2 buckets. Here's 300,000. We're going to move it into a savings account with one of the A-rated companies that we do business with. Okay, so don't overcomplicate index annuities. Okay, all too often people get into the weeds and like, man, these are complicated. All it is, literally a savings account with a life insurance company. And don't get confused on that part because I know when I was new, I thought index annuities were life insurance. They are not, okay? Index annuities have nothing to do with life insurance. It does nothing to do with somebody's health, somebody's character. We're talking money only, okay? It happens to be that life insurance companies are the ones that specialize in index annuities. That's where the confusion could come in. So once again, index annuities, nothing to do with life insurance. I get asked this question a lot. My client's 65, they're poor health, but they have $500,000. Can they qualify for index annuity? Absolutely. Nothing to do with their health, okay? Now, the reason why I mentioned interest rates is because companies today are offering a welcome bonus or a introductory bonus on any new money that gets transferred to their company. So in this example, let's use a 10% bonus. Some do up to 13. I've seen them as high as 15. Okay. Now take a look at that bonus and really have your client understand that yes, the bonus has advantages, but there's also some limitations when someone accepts a bonus. So what's great about working with us is we tailor and customize and we assemble the plan based on what you're looking for. Okay. Today we're talking generalizations because we're in a product training, but make sure that the bonus is actually what your client wants and it's best for them because there's other ways to make clients more money without the bonus. Okay. So everyone is different, but people will ask, what's the catch on the bonus? And you have to know the story. Two things. We're in high interest rates. So because of that, they're offering this bonus. The second reason is these companies have to stay competitive. If our client, John Wick, could go down the street and their bank is offering them 4% on their money through a CD account, well, shoot, these companies want his money. So what they're going to do is say, hey, if the bank's offering you 4 to 5, we'll offer you 10 to 13%, right? So competition is a great thing in our industry. That's another great value of the broker group and us being independent is we're able to look at different companies and see what they're offering. Okay, when we go over the income rider in a little bit, we're going to run calculators for not one company. I'm going to show you two companies, if not three companies, and you see the difference between competition and marketing. Okay, so this fundamental index annuity bonus 300,000. Savings account guaranteed to not go down. Now, how do we know it's guaranteed to not go down? Well, we're not offering that guarantee. Our client is signing legal contracts with A-rated financial companies that are offering that guarantee. Okay, so these companies will say, we'll credit the account based on the S&P 500, the largest 500 companies in the US. Maybe you want to select the NASDAQ. They have different crediting strategies that you can move forward with your client. I like to keep it simple. S&P 500, NASDAQ. We're going over the concept today. Okay. And at the same time, when these indices go down in value, and we know they will, okay, we know for certainty 100% that the stock market is going to go negative at some point. We don't know when, but we know it will. It happens all the time. Okay. This companies will give you a floor of 0%. Now let's play this over 4 years. First year, you market makes 7, client makes 7. More importantly, stock market drops 12. You're losing money in your other portion. I love throwing that in because remember we started with a portion. So I love reminding the client that look, when the market's down 12, you're losing money in your other portion. In this portion, you have that floor of 0%. You're not going to lose any money. Okay. I like saying that because maybe that portion starts increasing in size as well. Where the client might be thinking, I like it, man, you do 10%. And every time I make them realize that you're going to be losing money in your other portion, maybe that portion increases to 30, 40%, right? I love index annuities. Such an easy conversation. I was literally doing a statement review with Angie this morning and we're looking at it and such an easy conversation with the client. I put together an email and I said, look, I just told this client that we went from $270,000 to $400,000 in 3 years with zero risk with the income rider. Easiest conversation in the world. How's this client going to get upset that we made him 130 grand in 3 years? Okay. Now, 4%, 4%. Very simple. More importantly, market drops 20%. Make clients realize that yes, the market does go down 20%. Some people think that's not true. It does. It happens often enough that they have a definition for it. It's called a bear market. And the media loves when the stock market goes down. They absolutely love it. They'll flash red on the screen. Every article you read will talk about the end of the world, panic selling, protect your portfolio. They love it. You're guaranteed to not lose money in this portion. Once again, you're going to be losing 20% in your other portion. Okay. Now, that's the fundamental of index annuity. Many people see it for the first time. They're intrigued. They like it. I love when people say, what's the catch? This is too good to be true. One of my favorite lines. Okay. I love when they say that. Okay. Because when people say that, that means they like it. That means they see the value behind it. Say, wait, this is really good, but what's the catch? Okay. Not a catch, but you have to work with these companies. You have to sign an agreement with them. Okay. That agreement could be 5 years, 7 or 10 years. Most clients select 10 years. We have a long-term focus. This is retirement planning. Good news is you sign the agreement. They're not going to charge you a management fee. This is a fee-less strategy. and management fees could really start adding up. Ask your client, what's your current fee? Most people don't even know. Okay. The fact that they don't even know, another reason why they want to do this product. So look, average fees could be about 0.25 as high as 1%. So let's say you have a 0.5% fee, might not seem like that much. However, 0.5% on 300,000, that's $1,500 a year. Over 10 years, that's $15,000 in fees that we're able to save you. That $15,000 stays in your account and it's going to compound and grow in this strategy. Pretty darn good. Okay. You also have a liquidity feature. Some clients wonder, hey, what if I need access to the money? 5, 7, 10 years, something could happen. Yeah, you could access 5 to 10% after the first year. And then I like to ask them, what makes you think you will need access to the money? Because if you're thinking short term, this isn't suitable for you. Okay, this is a long-term strategy, set and forget. And they'll tell you, right? Have conversations with your client. And the reason I mention that is because when I first got into the industry, I didn't have conversation with the client. I was almost too afraid to ask them the key questions. I would just present and say, thank you for your time and log off. And then I wonder, how come people aren't moving forward? It's because I wasn't being an advisor. I was just presenting and thanking them and hoping they'll come to me. It's okay to ask questions. You're the licensed financial professional, okay? And if you're new and you're unsure, well, what questions should I ask? Work with your mentor. Okay, what's great about the Zoom era is you can actually have your questions right on the screen. Client can't see it, and then you just ask them, hey, I remember this. And it's only 2, 3, 5 key questions. I'll show you some key questions. One of my favorite questions when we talk about income riders. But these are things you could do now in the Zoom era, right? Once you get good, it becomes second nature. You memorize them. You don't need your little sheets. Then in person, even stronger, you could just ask clients right away. But it's not like we're doing 20 questions. We work with clients by educating them, very natural conversation. Their client's not defensive. We never have someone become a client on a first meeting. All about showing them what we could do, what we specialize in, and how we can help them, right? Notice also I'm using the word client. I don't use the word customer. These clients are going to be with you for years to come, 5, 10, 15, 30, if not 50 years. Also, if you're on the younger side, generational wealth, their kids are going to love you. Who wouldn't, right? We set up the portfolio that when life happens, the beneficiaries get hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're going to love you as an advisor. Okay. Now, here I have age 45 and above. That's a rule of thumb. What's great about index annuities is it's based on your client, their risk tolerance. If they're on the moderate conservative side, no matter what age they are, we could get them approved for index annuity. Okay. But limitation is this isn't for someone that wants to make that 20, 25%, even though some crediting strategies have. It's really built, okay, over time to get your client about 5 to 7%. I would say 6 to 8% in today's environment, if not more aggressive because the market's done quite well. But limit your client's expectations. Okay. Don't tell them it does 20% a year compounding. That doesn't happen. Okay. Also, it doesn't happen where it's going to go 0% every year for 10 years. Historical performance should get you about 5 to 8% of your money. People are more happy or happier knowing that they didn't lose money than versus they didn't make as much money. Okay. Your clients are going to love you knowing that they didn't lose. All right. Now, that's the key fundamental of an index annuity. And then, of course, we have the illustration. Okay, you should be ready as well, right? Great companies, Global Atlantic, F&G, Anico. I think I heard Athene's coming in the next week to 2 weeks, which is quite exciting. All the best of the best, by the way. Okay, and pin these companies against each other. It's great that we could look at Global, we could look at F&G, we could look at Anico, see what they're offering, see what the rates are, build it for your client. Okay, so here's a typical index annuity. We'll go through this quite fast. I want to spend the next 30 minutes going over income riders. But as you can see, I love showing clients this. Mr. John Wick, male, age 57. Once again, nothing to do with life insurance, nothing to do with long-term care. This is money only. I love showing clients this because I show them the zeros. Look, you don't lose money, you don't lose money, you don't lose money, you don't lose money, you don't lose money. You're only making money in this account or you're not losing. No negatives. Complete peace of mind, no fees. You're going to thank yourself later. I have not met a client that's regretted doing an index annuity with me and it's been over 10 years. They all love them. Okay. Ask yourself, how many people do you know that have a pension and secretly inside? I know I'm like, man, this guy's going to get a paycheck for the rest of his life. And he put in 20, 30 years because everybody would love a paycheck for the rest of their life, right? But this is a setup of index annuity. Okay. Death benefit. Yes. Get rid of that myth. Okay. Index annuities have a death benefit. You might be working with a client that says, oh, I read that, grandma passed away and the insurance company kept all the money. That's not true. Okay. There's a death benefit. Somebody passes away prematurely, or if they even pass away, whatever's left in the account, the beneficiary will get that money. Okay. So eliminate that myth. Now, 30 minutes, let's talk about income riders. But this is the key fundamentals of index annuities. So make sure that you understand the key fundamentals. If you have additional questions, work with your business partner. One of the best things you could do is work with your business partner, build a full illustration, study that illustration. You'll be ahead of 95% of people by reading that illustration from the first page to the end. Okay, this is one page of it, but read it. There's definitions in there. There's regulations, there's crediting. It teaches you everything about index annuity, but make sure that you read it. Okay. Now, one of my favorite things that the industry offers is what's called a rider. Okay. So let's define what a rider is. Okay. First thing is you see here, a rider on an index annuity, key is optional feature. Okay, so riders are not required. Okay, your client has a optional feature if they want to add a rider to their index annuity. Okay, so another, people like to use these examples, right, where you keep it simple. Okay, I've heard this pizza example many times. I love using it. Index annuity is a cheese pizza. Wonderful. Everyone loves pizza. It's very difficult to have a bad pizza, right? You have pizza, maybe not as good as other people, but everyone loves pizza. Think of a rider as a topping on the pizza. And everyone knows as soon as you start adding toppings, the pizza gets better, but also they increase the price. Okay, so riders, even they're optional features. Okay, so the direct definition is a customized annuity to match your goals and lifestyle. That's a big one. Okay, while an annuity already offers powerful benefits like growth potential and income protection, riders take it a step further by adding layers of flexibility. These enhancements aren't one size fits all. Let your clients know that. There's your takeaway. Okay, this isn't for everybody. Some clients love it. Other clients, it wasn't suitable for them. Not a problem. Maybe it's the right fit for you. Maybe it's not, but I want to talk about it because it can be perfect for what you're looking for. Choosing the right rider allows you to create a plan that feels personal and built around your unique properties. Look, human nature is people love customization, right? If you're doing a fixed index annuity on 95% of people, but you show that person, look, let me customize this index annuity for you. Let me show you this income riders or these different riders that you have. They're optional, by the way, but I want to show you that they exist. Okay, so here's the most popular riders that exist. There's a lot of them. The first one's going to be income rider. That's the one we're going to spend a lot of time on today. It is the most popular. Okay, why isn't it? Guarantees you a steady paycheck for life, no matter how long you live. Awesome. Who doesn't want that? Okay. Guaranteed income for life on top of Social Security. That's two guaranteed counts. Pretty darn good. What's starting to have a lot more buzz is actually a long-term care rider as well. Okay. So it gives you extra funds if you ever need help with home care, assisted living, or nursing services. Okay. There's senior people that might not qualify for long-term care or life insurance with a rider, but they want to use the LTC rider on a lump sum of money, and these companies will give them extra money if they do need long-term care. So not true long-term care standalone, but it is a feature that's getting a lot more popular today if a client's looking for it. Okay. There's a death benefit riders, ensures your remaining balance goes to your loved ones, not the insurance companies. Okay. Return a premium rider. Okay. These riders aren't just add-ons, they're peace of mind built into your financial strategy. Once again, optional. But let's cover the income rider because this is the most popular, and this is such a good conversation starter as well. Most Americans don't have a pension like they used to. Okay, the days of putting in 20, 30 years for your employer, then retiring, getting your pen and getting your pension, those days, everyone knows, is starting to become obsolete, right? The data is like 87% of Americans don't even have a pension. And that 9 out of 10 that don't have it, what is that 10%? It's typically military background or people that work for state and government positions, right? If you work for a private sector and you have a pension, you're one of the few, okay? Most people don't have a pension. This is how we're able to create a pension through a lump sum of money, guaranteed payments for life. Okay, so these are riders. Let's go over a big one here. Okay, so this is a company that we are able to represent. It's the one I went over earlier. This company is Global Atlantic, and this is their income rider. Okay. Now, once again, reminder, income riders and riders, make sure that you disclose to the client that they do have a fee. Okay. Because if you're telling them it's feeless, 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 only thing that's feeless is a traditional index annuity. If you add a rider to it, odds are that rider does have an annual fee. That could be 0.5, 0.85, it could be 0.95, it could be 1%, 1.25%. Every company is different. So make sure you do your due diligence as a licensed financial professional. You see what that fee is for the client and let them know, look, if we want to add this income rider, it's going to cost you 0.5 or whatever that fee is. Okay, so Global Atlantic right now is offering a opportunity for 15% annual growth for the next 20 years. So client has the opportunity to get 15% a year on their money every single year for the next 20 years. When they're ready, they could turn on a retirement paycheck on for the rest of their life, no matter if they live to the age of 110, 120, 130. Guaranteed 15% a year. This is why I wanted to go over interest rates earlier, because when we show clients these numbers, they're blown away. Because, like, this is too good to be true. What's going on here? Well, let me tell you what's going on. It's high interest rates. We're in an environment right now where these companies can simply buy U.S. Treasury bonds and make 4, if not almost 5% guaranteed on their money. So they're going to give us 15%. Pretty darn good. Okay. Income for check. And as you can see, Global Atlantic also includes the LTC feature that if they get confined for up to 5 years, they'll double the payment. Okay. That's Global Atlantic. So check other companies. They have different rates of return. They have different crediting, different bells and whistles, right? That's where competition comes in. Okay. Now, let's run some numbers. Let's have some fun. Okay. What's great about these companies, and I'm going to put in the chat. Let me share here. All right. I'm going to start with the first one. Let's do, since we're talking Global Atlantic, let's do Global Atlantic together. Okay. Well, that's a theme. Here's my Global Atlantic. We'll do a theme after, but I want to do Global Atlantic first. There's my calculator. All right. So let me share this screen. And I appreciate everyone helping each other out in the chat. I say going off, but everyone's answering questions, which is phenomenal. I love that we're working together to get this done. Okay. So here's Global Atlantic's calculator. Now I'm going to share a couple calculators. Let me minimize. Let me do this real quick. Because I believe, I'm not sure if it's my side, but I believe in Zoom, for some odd reason, freaking Zoom does not let you copy and paste links. So I prepared this earlier, kind of like a cooking show. Help everybody out. Where the links I'm going to use, put in a little file for everybody. Where are you? That's what I wanted to do. Okay, so I put this in a little file, because I believe you could download the file, and the links could get a little tough, but I may be mistaken. Okay, let me put the first link in. Try to help everybody out, make it interactive. Okay, all right, so the first link I'm looking at, this is Global Atlantic. And by the way, this calculator you see here, this is what we call as a public calculator. Okay, I'm logged in already, but I believe you can access this without having to, your client having to be licensed, or you could run numbers for them real quick. I like to bring up the calculators, works well. I'll go into a full income rider illustration right after this, but this is real quick, right? You can see that's the link I sent. Let me put it in real quick. And make sure when you're dealing with index annuities and anything in business, make sure you keep it quite professional. Okay. You're dealing with hundreds, if not $1 million, $2 million. Take the time, put your information in there, put the company name, print it out in color, send them color. If you're doing it in person, I highly recommend going to FedEx office, printing out the PDF, bind it, spend that whopping $10. And hey, buy some cookies as well, and show up to that meeting with some cookies, a printed out index annuity illustration, bounded in color with your information on there. Man, your clients could be impressed, because those days are starting to become a little obsolete, right? And when it comes to index annuities, remember that we're dealing with senior clients, people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. That's the error that they come up with. Yes, they adapted to modern technology, but deep down inside, they love paper, they love old school, they love things like that, right? And we're talking 100,000, 300,000, a million, big money. Take that 10, $15, you'll thank yourself later. Okay. Now it's asking me to tell most about yourself. We're going to solve for life income payment. This client wants to do, let's go with 400,000. Okay. Single election, client is, let's go with 67, and the client wants to wait to the age of 77. Okay, so we're going to do income rider, 400,000, 67, boom. It's going to print it out here. Now, these are quick calculators. As you can see here, these are the numbers. Okay, quite exciting. Let me try to zoom in. Maybe I get a better, there we go. Nice and big for everybody. All right, so this is Global Atlantic's company we represent. We did an income rider. Okay, you can see $400,000 what they started with. 15% a year guaranteed every year. Okay, so if you're wondering what the heck, clients making $60,000 a year every year. Now look at the fine print. Okay, this 15% with Global Atlantic is simple interest. It is not compound interest. Okay, so it's 15% every year on the original purchase amount. So 15% of 400,000 is $60,000 a year. So we're going to get our client $60,000 a year. Okay, and get good with numbers too. Client, we're going to get you an extra $5,000 a month every single month for the next 20 years. Okay, if you feel like $5,000 a month is more attractive than $60,000 a year, it can be, right? But use numbers to your advantage. We'll get you $5,000 a month every single month for the next 20 years, guaranteed, no matter what happens in the market. Market does zero, you get $5,000 or 60 grand a year. Market does -2, you get $5,000 or 60,000 a year. Market does 3%, you still get 60 grand. Market does 10%, you still get 60 grand, right? Guaranteed, no matter what happens, legal contract with this A-rated company. It's what we call in the industry is a no-brainer. Our clients are loving these. They're moving forward. It's our most popular strategy. We're doing $1 million a month as an organization into this strategy. The industry itself is breaking records. Okay, remember, people want to do things that other people are doing. Oh, if they're doing it, if breaking records, it must be good. Absolutely, it's good. Okay, now let's play this over. I told the software that the client wants to take income at 77. So the software highlighted it 10 years later. But check this out. Guaranteed, no matter what happens, we turned a $400,000 transfer of a portion of your assets into a guaranteed $1 million. And just sit there. Look at it. Let them look at it. Let them smile. Where else could you find this? Look at them again. Wait for answer. One of the most powerful things you could do is ask a question and just pause. Okay? I know awkward pauses feel kind of weird. They feel like 5 seconds is 30 seconds, and just stay quiet. Your client is going to answer and say, that's pretty good. Absolutely. Okay? You'll get $69,000 a year every single year for the rest of your life, no matter what happens. Every single year. It could be $69,000 one check. We could do monthly. We could do quarterly. This on top of your Social Security. You told me you're getting $40,000 on Social Security. So we could set up guaranteed $40,000 a year on Social Security, $69,000 a year in this index annuity with the income rider. You're getting for the rest of your life $109,000 personal pension plan. How will that make you feel? And people will tell you. Okay. Now, they don't have to wait 10 years in this product. If the client wanted, they could wait 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So if you have a client that's in their 70s, low 80s, and they want to take advantage, look, 1 year later, you could get 27,000. 5 years later, you get 45,000. Okay. Pretty darn good. Now, this is with Global Atlantic. Okay. What's great about the broker group is we work with different companies. Okay. So let's look over here and let's see. Okay. And let's see what Athene's offering. All right, we did 400,000. This Athene product is called the Pro 10 Bonus Income Calculator. Remember, each company has different products. So make sure if you're doing income, you pick the product that specializes in income. Okay, this is Athene's. Let's do apples, 67. And he wants to do it at 77. Once again, here's a calculator. Let me put into the chat. Let me know if you could copy and paste, because I could never copy and paste in Zoom. So I sent that little file for everybody. Okay, here we go. Same thing, different company. Big advantage with the broker group. Oh, we got 67,760 with Athene. We got 69,000 Global Atlantic. All right, so you're thinking, all right, $2,000 a year, that's not that much. Over 10 years, that's 20 grand. Okay, so make sure, a lot of these companies do marketing, right? 15%, this one does 20% bonus, 7.5 credit compounding. Really what the client cares about in the day, what's my final number? Okay. So very similar. It's very rare for you to get one company that's much higher than other. They're very close to each other. That standard deviation between companies, very, very close. Okay, but here Athene said, hey, we'll give you 67,000, almost 68,000 a year. Global Atlantic's telling you, hey, we'll give you 69,000. Okay, so make sure you check the numbers. But this is Athene's version of an income rider. This is what they're offering. Okay, total income base 880,000, 400,000. If you're wondering, well, why is this one higher? Well, they're offering 15% simple. Athene right now, I believe, is offering 20% welcome bonus, but then I believe it's 12% a year crediting. Okay, so the math in the long run, it could be a separation factor. Okay, but you can see, same type thing. Another thing you want to look at too is each company has a different, what's called an LPP. Okay, the way they come up, if you ever wonder, how do they come up with the payment for life number? They grab the total number and they multiply it by the LPP, or what they call the guaranteed life income withdrawal percentage. Every company has a different name. Okay. So some companies have a higher or lower LPP versus other companies. So that's why you want to take a look at what's the final number, what's the LPP, because it can make a difference for your client, especially if you're on the fence. 3,000 here, 5,000 here. Show you're doing your homework, you're comparing it, clients are loving it.